Hello everyone, hope you all are well. First of all, welcome to this channel. Thanks for visiting my channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about the important coding questions that were previously asked in the Tcs Nqt exam. Right, so this video is definitely going to be very helpful for you. Make sure to watch the complete video. Also share the video among your friends as well so that even they can know about the kind of coding questions that are being asked in the TCS. Also, make sure to subscribe this channel if you haven't subscribed till now. This channel is definitely going to be very helpful for you. And to get notification about more such updates, make sure to join our Telegram community. The link for the Telegram channel is given in the description itself. Right, so without any delay, let's get started. Guys, as you all know that now Studies with Soumya, our YouTube channel, has collaborated with Geeks for Geeks. Okay, so now we are planning for some free giveaway of the Geeks for Geeks courses. For this, I have already uploaded one video that how you can get those courses, what is the contest, how I'll be providing the coupons and all sort of stuff. So make sure to watch that video. Link is given in the I button. And as you know that Geeks for Geeks is an amazing platform which is containing so many courses, either paid or free of courses from where you can learn, you can enhance your skill set, right? So as of now, you can see we are having live courses, online courses. So according to your interest, you can choose any of the courses. Now, just use the coupon code study with Soumya and get the 10% discount on the course in which you are interested in. So don't forget to grab this wonderful opportunity. Happy learning, guys. See, if talking about the difficulty level of the coding questions that are being asked in the TCS, so let me tell you, the questions will be easy to medium level only. They are not going to be very difficult, but sometimes language is kind of lengthy and wordy, due to which students fall into the trap that they used to think that questions will be very difficult. However, this is not the case. If you are properly able to understand the problem, just in 10 to 15 lines of code, just by writing these many lines of code, you will be able to solve the problem. So make sure to understand the problem properly. It's not just by seeing the length of the question you are getting afraid. So let's see the first question now. So as I just told you, you can see this was the question that was asked in TCS. Now if talking about the length, so you can see that is kind of lengthy, but don't think if it is lengthy then it will be difficult too. When I'll be explaining, you will come to know, okay, that easy the question is, it's not that difficult. So make sure to understand, to read the question properly and then come to any sort of conclusion, right? It is not that difficult as it's low. So the question is, a city bus is a ring route bus which runs in circular fashion. So our bus runs in circular fashion. That is, bus once starts at the source bus stop, halts at each bus stop in its route, and at the end it reaches the source bus stop again. If there are n number of stops and if the bus starts at bus stop 1, then after nth bus stop, the next stop in the route will be bus stop number 1 always. If there are n stops, there will be n paths. One path connects two stops. Distances in meter for all paths in ring route is given in array path as given below. So you are having an array path that is given to you, which is consisting of distance for all the paths in ring route. Fare is determined based on a distance covered from source to destination stop S. Distance between input source and destination stops can be measured by looking at values in array path, and fare can be calculated as per following criteria. See, they have mentioned for calculating the fare, this is the criteria that you can use is, if d equal to 1000 meter, if distance is 1000 meter, then fare will be 5 INR, right? Now just think, if the distance is 1 meter, what is the fare going to be? It will be 0.005 INR. Simple mathematics it is, right? Also, they have mentioned that when calculating fare for others, the calculated fare containing any fraction value should be sealed. So basically, you have to seal the value. For example, for distance 900 meter, when fare initially calculated is, that is 4.5. So what is the nearest integer to this 4.5? That is 5. You have to seal. See, basically there are two ways to do the roundup. Either you can follow floor or seal, but as of they are asking you to use the seal, it means you have to choose the next integer ahead of this particular float value, right? Path is circular in function. Value at each index indicates distance till current stop from the previous one. So you can see they have clearly mentioned that path is circular in function, and at each index, what this value indicates? Value indicates distance till current stop from the previous one. So they are clearly saying that at each index in this path array, this distance is what? This distance basically index distance till current stop. It means the element or on which you are currently, its distance from the previous one. That is what the index is indicating. And each index position can be mapped with values at same index in bus stops array, which is a string array holding abbreviation of names for all stops as. So these are the stops given. Thane railway station is abbreviated as TH, Gaon Devi as GA, Ice Factory as IC, Harini was circle as HA, Teen Hatkana as TE, and this is how it is going to be. So you can say that we are having another array bus stops that consisting of, that is an string array consisting of what? Consisting of these abbreviations. So given n equal to 8, where n is basically the number of bus stops, you have to write the code with function get fare. This is taking two arguments, string source and string destination, which take input as source and destination in the format containing first two characters of the name of the bus stop and calculate the return travel fare. You have to write a function which will be basically taking source and destination as input from the user, and according to the given input you have to basically determine the travel fare. For example, you can see when the source and destination values are this, you can see CA is not even present in this array, right? So obviously you have to print invalid input, and for NI to HA we are getting 23.0 INR. Also a note is given, input and output should be in format given. Example, input should not be case sensitive and output should be in the format INR. That is what they have mentioned, right? Now just see that how from NI to HA we are getting 23.0 as the answer. Well, if you will see here, like this particular line which they have mentioned, let me give you a kind of brief about this line, that value at each index indicates distance till current stop from the previous one. So here, as you can see, this 800. So 800 is the distance between which stations, which is given here. So you can see if you are currently on this one, right, from the 0th index we are starting. So this 800 is the distance between the current to the previous. Now as if the bus is moving in the circular fashion, previous station that was CA. So CA to TH distance is 800. Then GA to TH, that is what they have mentioned now, that index indicates distance till current stop from the previous one. Then when we are on this particular element, that is GA, so GA to TH distance is 600, IC to GA distance is 750, HA to IC distance is 900, TE to HA distance is 1400, LU to TE distance is 1200, NI to LU distance is 1100, CA to NI distance is 1500, right? So this is how it is working. Now if suppose the input given to you is NI, HA, where NI is the source and HA is the destination, then what you are going to do is, so NI is where it is on this particular index. Now if you will check the same index here in this path array, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it means this one. Now are you going to include this distance? No, right? Because 1100 is the distance between whom? It is the distance between LU to NI, and you are starting your journey from NI. So why you are going to include this distance? You won't include, right? So now what you are going to take is, you will be taking 1500. That is obviously you have to cover this distance. So 1500 will be included. Then CA to TH distance is 1800, so that will be included. Then TH to GA distance is 600, so that will be included. TH to GA we have already included 600. GA to IC 750 the distances, so we are going to include that. Then IC to HA, what is the distance? 900, so that will be included. If you will add this up, you will be getting 4550 as the total distance. Now 1 meter, for 1 meter what is the fare? 0.05 INR, right? So for this meter, what will be the fare? That will be simply 4550 multiplied by 0.005. On multiplication, you will be getting 22.75, but as we have to seal this, so you can say it as 23.0, and that is what we are getting in the output too, right? So this is how it is going to work. So I hope that you must have understood the question. If talking about the approach, so now that's again very simple. The first thing is that you have to check whether the source and destination that the user has given, even like if it is present in an array or not. If in the suppose source is not present, then also you have to print invalid input. Destination is not present, you have to print invalid input. Maybe a case both source and destination are not present, print invalid input. And also you have to take care of this, that if source and destination are same, that's not a valid input. So for this also you'll be printing invalid input simply. And when the input is valid, what you have to do is, you can see we are not including the index of source. Why? Because for example, in this case, we didn't included this index where Ni is located from the path array, because this 1100 is what? It is the distance from Ni to Lu, and we don't want to include that. So always make sure when you are adding up the distance, you are moving one step ahead of the source index, and you have to add all the distances up to the destination index, that is HA itself. For example, here 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. So you can see we have added the distance up to 900. So that is what I'm saying. Rest the logic is pretty clear to rest the logic is pretty easy, and when I'll be writing the code, you will be able to understand it. So let's move to the code part now. Okay, so as you can see that what we are doing here is, first of all, we are taking two strings source and destination as input from the user, because obviously we have to pass these string source and destination to our function, that is getFare, which is basically going to return us fare. Now for invalid cases, what we are going to do, we are simply going to return 0 from the function. So that's why we are doing the comparison, that if res values equal 0, it means we have to simply print invalid input. Otherwise, you know that when we were having Ni to HA, we were printing 23. We were printing 23.0. It means that we just want one element after the point. So that's why I'm writing like this, 0.1f, and INR obviously we have to include, and we are printing the res value, right? So now let's move to the getFare function, because this is having the actual logic. So what we are doing is, now you need this array, that is bus stops array, which is consisting the bus stops that we do have, and we are having another integer array that is having the distance. So 800, 600, 750, 900, and all the distances we are having here. Now this res value is the variable that will be holding our result. Now our first task is what? Our first task is to basically determine the indexes on which our source and destination is present. So for this we are basically taking two integer value, and as of now I'm initializing them with -1. Now why -1? So that further, after going through the complete loop and after going through the complete comparison with each and every element in this array, if in the case still the value of source is -1, or if destination desti is -1, or in the case like both source and desti index is same, so what conclusion I can make, if any of this situation, if any of the scenario is true, I can make the conclusion that okay, it is an invalid input. So here you can see in this for loop, what I am doing, I am simply comparing the value present in the array bus stops to that of the source given by the user. And if we have got a match, so obviously equal to 0 we are going to get. So if we have got a match, so I am going to store that particular index to src, and same thing I am doing for desti as well. So if I got a match for destination, so I am storing this in this variable, that is desti. And after coming out of this for loop, I am simply checking that if any of these condition is true, that is source is -1, desti is -1, or if source and desti both are same, means the index is same, so I have to simply return 0. And if this, it means that this condition will be true and invalid input will be printed. Otherwise, what I am doing, we have already discussed the approach that we have to move one step ahead of the source index. So here we are having this integer variable I initialized with source or src plus 1. Now we are taking a simple while loop for addition of the distances. Now you know that when we were taking Ni to Ha, So first of all, you have to include this 1500. Now you want to get back to this 0th index. So how we can do that is, because you can see this is the, at this time I value will be what, 7. Okay, I value will be 7. Now you want to convert this back to 0 because obviously bus is traveling in the circular manner. So what you can do is, you can update the I value as I plus 1 mod by 8. I is what, 7. 7 plus 1 mod by 8 is going to give you 0 itself. So from 1500 you will be reaching to that particular element. So this is what we are doing here, that first of all we are adding this ith element to our res variable, and this is how we are modifying the value of I. And for calculation of the fare, we are simply multiplying this distance with 0.005, and after this you have to seal this value as if given in the question itself, and at the last I am simply returning this res value. So this is what we are doing. So let's run our code now. If suppose I am giving ni as input, so you can see we are getting 23.0 INR. If I am giving ni te as input, you can see we are getting 30.0 INR. Let's give ca, we are getting invalid input. Let's give bg, hj, okay, we are getting invalid input, right? So this is working perfectly fine. Now let's move to our next problem. This is our next question. The question says that a peak element is an element that is strictly greater than its neighbors. So given an integer array nums, find a peak element and return its index. If the array contains multiple peaks, return the index to any of the peaks. So here this input is given to you, which is containing the size of the array and then array elements. So what is the peak element? Basically, an element is peak if it is greater than its neighbor. So 2, is it a peak? No, right? Because obviously it is greater than that of 1, but not from 3. 3 is a peak, right? It is a peak because it is greater than that of 2 and 1 as well. Now what is the index of this element 3? 0, 1, 2. 2 is the index, so that's why we are getting 2 as the correct answer. You have to return the index of the peak element. That is what you have to do. In the next question, what we are having is, so here you can see we are having two possible peaks. One is this one and another one is this one. You can see 2 is also greater than that of its neighbor, 1 and 1. So you can return 1 as the, or you can simply print 1 as the output, because they are saying that return the index to any one of the peaks if the array contains multiple peaks. What is the index of 2? That is 1. So 1 can also be your answer. And here the 6 is on the index 5. So 5 can also be your answer. Now the most basic approach that will come to your mind is we can linearly iterate over the array. Also you have to take care of these cases. For example, if you are having something like this. For 9, see, this first element can also be a peak element, and for this there will be only one neighbor, that is this. Same case apply here as well, that last element can also be a peak element, and for this what will be the only neighbor, that is this one, because here there is no element, and also here as if this is the starting, so here there is no element. So first of all we'll be checking that okay, if the array at the 0th index, if it is greater than that of the element at the first index, so this will be the peak element itself, and as if this is on 0th index, so simply you have to return that particular index. And so here you can see this condition is true. So 9 is what? Peak. If you are having something like this, okay, so here you can see 4 is what? The last element of the array is greater than that of the element which is one step ahead of it, or which is basically neighbor of it. So this is also what? A peak. So you can directly return the index of that particular element. So take care of these two cases, right? This condition is unsatisfied. So what we'll be doing? We'll be linearly iterating over the array elements, and we'll be comparing that if the particular element on which we are currently, if it is greater than that of its neighbors or not. If it is greater, then obviously it will be a peak element and will be returning its index. So directly let's have a look on the code part. So you can see this is the array that we are having, and this is the array size. Now we are passing this array and this size to a function find peak element, and whatever the function is returning, the index, we are storing this in res variable and simply we are printing the res. So first of all, if there is only one element in the array, so this will be the peak itself. So that's why I'm returning 0, because if there's only one element, that will be on the 0th index. If the element at the 0th index is greater than that of the element at first index, then also it is what? It is a peak itself. So it is on 0th index, so this will be the index where peak element is located. So that's why I'm returning 0. Also, there can be a case the last element itself is greater than that of the element which is one step ahead. For example, if you are having 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is on which index? Third index. And 3 is on second index. So here simply we are doing that if element at n minus 1. So n is what? 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So 4 is greater than that of 3. Yeah, the condition is true. So now this 4 is on which index? Third index. So that's why we are simply returning n minus 1. Right? And if any of this condition is untrue, so simply you have to take a for loop where we are iterating over the array and we are comparing that the element on which we are currently, if it is greater than that of its neighbor, we are initializing this with 1, because already we have checked the case for the first element and the last one as well. So we are checking that if nums of I is greater than that of nums of I minus 1 and nums of I greater than that of nums of I plus 1. So if that is the case, simply you have to return the ith index, because this will be the index where peak element will be, located, right? So now let's run our code. So you can see we are getting 1 as the answer, because you can see 2 is what? Peak element. So for, I already told you, as if this array is having 2 peaks, so either you can return the index of this one or this one, right? Now for this problem, this solution, the time complexity will be big O of n. So we can further optimize our solution. Let's see how. So here, as if this particular question isn't strict, because here it's like there can be multiple peaks possible and you can return the index of any of the peaks, right? So it's not that restrictive. So we can use binary search approach here. So what we'll be doing is, first of all, we'll be calculating the middle element. As we do in binary search. So let me explain you. So we are having 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 6, 4. So this is a starting element, this is end element. Now if you are calculating the middle element, so this is at the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is 0 index. So element, what will be the middle element? 0 plus 6 divided by 2, that is 3. So element at the third index. So 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 will be the middle element. So first of all, we'll be checking the criteria that is given for an element to be a peak for this middle element. You can see this is not satisfying the criteria because 5 is greater than that of 3. Okay. Now you have two choices, either to move this side or this side. Now you can see the high chances of getting the peak element is in the right side, because you can make some sort of idea that even peak isn't greater, that even middle element isn't greater than that of middle element, right? So there can be high chances of getting the peak element, right? So we'll be moving to this side. So now we are going to update the value of s as mid plus 1, it means this element. Now here again we'll be calculating the middle element. So s value is 4 and e value is 6. S plus e, that will be giving you 10 divided by 2, 5. So now the element at the fifth index is the middle element, that is this. It means 6 is the middle element now. Now you know that 6 is satisfying the criteria for to be a peak element because it is greater than that of its neighbor. So this mid index will be returned as the output, right? So this is the approach, binary search approach, that we are going to solve this problem. Now for this, the time complexity will be big O of log n. So let's have a look on the code part as well. So here you can see we are taking two pointers, s and h we are taking. So s has been initialized with 0 and h with n minus 1 index. Now first of all you have to check that if n is equal to 1, or that is if it is 0, simply return 0. Otherwise we are going to use the same binary search approach, that we have to continue in this loop till the time s is less than equal to h. You have to calculate the index of middle element. First of all, we are checking for the middle element itself. So this here also can be a scenario that the middle element that we are getting is 0, and if the first element itself is the middle element, so you know that there will be only one element. So let's suppose like this 2 1. So if you are getting this 2 itself as the middle element, so for this element 2, for being a peak element, there is only one neighbor. So that's why we are doing just one comparison, that if nums of mid is greater than that of nums of mid plus 1, you have to simply return the index of mid. Same thing, that this can be a scenario that the last index we are getting is the mid. So again, for this case also, we'll be having only one index for the comparison, only one neighbors to compare with, right? And if this scenario has been satisfied, so we are simply returning mid. The mid element that you have got, you have to check the criteria of peak element for this one, that is, it should be greater than that of its neighbor. So we are checking if the criteria is satisfied, so simply you have to return mid. Otherwise, you have to check, that is, if the element which is one step ahead of mid, if it is greater than that of mid, it means there are high chances of getting the peak element to the right side. So that's why we are changing the value of s as mid plus 1. And the last case can be that we have to, and the last case can be like if this condition isn't even satisfied, so it means that the most probable chance of getting the peak element is towards the left side. So that's why we are updating the value of h as mid minus 5. So if you'll be running this code, you can see we are getting 5 as the output, because this peak element 6 is located at the fifth index, right? So these were the two approaches for solving this question. Now this is it for this video. I hope that this video was useful for you. Thank you for watching this video. Keep learning, keep preparing, guys. Bye bye.